Dougie, bass, Sakwa, rock, I miss you, gang, gangster. Pick up your phone too. My ass cool, like a gangster.
Kevin Perez, aka K-Flock, born April 20th, 2003. Drill music is a form of new age rap music started in Chicago, Illinois, that's taken the music industry by storm beginning in the early 2010s and growing in popularity throughout the decade, even spilling into the 2020s, with artists refining themselves by the year to become their own form of pop icons. Drill music has also expanded over time to not just Chicago, but in places like St. Louis, Florida, even overseas in the UK, Canada, and even Africa, but none more adopted than in New York. So much so it bred new life into the New York hip-hop scene, becoming their sound for the last 10 years. The drill music path has had a very fruitful ceiling if one could do all the following: stay out of prison and don't die. Unfortunately, those are the terms of gaining the clout it takes to be one of those artists that makes it out into a space financially they don't even need to make more music. The best examples of this ceiling are artists like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, G Herbo, Fabio Foreign, and Polo G. But for those 5 artists, there's thousands that never made it. Today's feature is one that had the same ceiling as the artist mentioned, possibly even higher given his Dominican and Puerto Rican heritage and ability to relate to more than one music market. Also being in the era of artists not needing the traditional channels filled with hip-hop gatekeepers any longer, where you can literally blow up overnight placing your songs on places like SoundCloud and YouTube. K-Flock benefited from this avenue, amassing millions of fans of his music in less than a year of taking music seriously. He released his first song to YouTube May 27, 2001 that sits at 6 million views and within a year has grown substantially, having multiple videos anywhere from 10 million to over 80 million like his song Is You Ready? With that, he could literally choose which label to do business with or whether or not he even needs anything more than a distributor of his music, going the independent route as long as he saw fit. Keep in mind, 3 years ago, K-Flock was still 18-19 years old. With a future this bright, the only person that could get in the way of his unique rise was K-Flock himself, and that's exactly what happened. He was arrested December 23, 2021 on murder charges a little more than a year after gaining all the fame and notoriety needed to transcend his hood environment that ultimately became his downfall. K-Flock was the leader of a crew of talented artists that haven't been the same since he was out the picture, illustrating how his stunted growth affected not just him, but his entire crew and the state of hip-hop for New York City. After Pop Smoke died, New York needed K-Flock to make it through, but for these reasons, that didn't happen. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. K-Flock is a rapper from the Bronx, New York, as mentioned, of Puerto Rican and Dominican descent that was inspired by the drill music craze he grew up parallel to and the success of artists like Chief Keef, Pop Smoke, and Fabio Foreign. New York in the late 2010s adapted to the drill music rise, adding classic R&B and hip-hop samples as background to the hard-hitting drill music drums and bass, mixing together to make their very own sound. K-Flock followed suit using his unique bass-heavy voice to create his own lane similar to Pop Smoke, but different because of how it connected to a younger crowd that was a lot more violent. Fans attracted to K-Flock and his music, and it propelled him to the forefront. He had the air of the youth, the look and personality of the kids he spoke to through his music, and a chance to be the face of the subgenre for years to come. And of course, make millions doing it. Stunt number 1, Environment, a Gift and a Curse. One of the interesting things about drill music is the ceiling we talked about, where you can blow up into a huge star with all the endorsements to set you up for a lifetime, but the sacrifices you have to make can be life-threatening or altering. One of the reasons music fans have become attracted to drill music is because there's a danger and excitement to it that they can experience through their favorite artist. While being removed far enough from it, they won't ever be affected. Because most artists came up music fans themselves, they understand what fans want from them, and in drill music, the negative aspect of your story of violence and danger gains more attention faster when it's authentic. It's why an artist like King Von became so popular. His drill stories were ones that really happened in his environment, and ones he went to jail for, one was released, blew up, made millions, and eventually died trying to uphold. Drill music encourages and is supported by violence, and unfortunately that violence is a part of the environment K-Flock came from, giving him the stories to build on and rap about, but the opportunity to self-destruct creating them or be on defense of someone else's story of violence. Being in the streets, yes, gave K-Flock the authenticity his music needed to grow his following, but without guidance, his street activities not only made him a target of his enemies, ones he continuously dissed on songs, but also a target of the justice system who sees his environment's inhabitants as their enemy. He released his first mixtape November 5th, 2021 called the DOA Tape, leading to Billboard honoring him as hip-hop's Rookie of the Year. On one side, success greeted him, which for kids in his environment isn't an everyday favor, but to keep that success, he had to continue creating stories of violence or defending himself against the violence in his environment, which created a lower ceiling for his music and potential short lifespan. Stunt number 2, arrested for murder. K-Flock, 18 years old at the time, turned himself into police December 23, 2021 after being the #1 suspect in the shooting death of 24-year-old Oscar Hernandez. At first, reports alleged that K-Flock walked into a barbershop and asked Hernandez what he was looking at, which turned into an argument outside, leading to Hernandez being shot in the neck and back, ultimately succumbing to his injuries and later passing away. In a ray of light for K-Flock, the entire incident minus the actual shooting was caught on tape and released to the public, contradicting the reports that this was a cold-blooded killing. Looking at the footage, it actually shows K-Flock seemingly minding his own business, walking with a few young girls when Oscar storms out the barbershop, walking in the direction of Flock as if he just seen his enemy and was attempting to approach him. Either way, K-Flock was wanted for questioning and turned himself in a little more than a month after the release of his very popular mixtape. He's been held without bond while awaiting trial, and although there's a much more important fight for his freedom, his music career is also suffering because of his arrest. Drill music in 2024 is less fruitful now than it was 3-4 years ago, a span that Flock could have achieved enough and made enough money to set himself and family up for generations. He was a star in the making, even if his music wasn't the most progressive and even criminal-minded. Entertainment is still entertainment, and fans found K-Flock to be exactly what they wanted to be entertained by. One of his biggest songs, Shake It, released months after his arrest, featuring Cardi B, Bori 300, and Dougie B, shot up the charts and would have been his signature and a bigger hit had he been free to promote it the right way and capitalize off a feature as big as Cardi B was at the time. As K-Flock and many NY drill artists say, everything was dead at the point of his arrest, losing years fighting a case he may very well lose and face a lifetime in prison. Stunt number 3, more charges. Compounding him being arrested and awaiting trial in prison for murder, K-Flock was also federally indicted on racketeering charges, or more commonly RICO charges, with 7 other defendants February 23, 2023 for their role in creating and operating the Sevside DOA gang. The feds also picked up his murder charge, together carrying a mandatory life sentence if convicted. I, like many, feel he has a strong chance beating the murder charge, as the video evidence does support his claim of self-defense, but also that he's being targeted and ran through the legal system as a way to keep what police in the area perceive to be a violent member of the community off the streets. Whether self-defense or not, K-Flock did have a lethal weapon on him that I assume was unregistered, and he did use that weapon to take the life of another person. He's been moved to a federal prison as he awaits trial that is set to begin next month, September 2024. If found guilty, K-Flock could be gone from the streets for the rest of his life. Musically, it goes without saying, his career at the point of conviction would be thrown away as New York loses another talented entertainer and rapper. The least of his worries, as he'd also lose his entire adult freedom and experiences. All in all, K-Flock was a product of his environment, still young enough to make mistakes, but old enough and popular enough for those mistakes to take everything away. Is he being made example of because he represents a violence the youth of today are seeing as not that serious? Yes, but at least it gives him an opportunity to sit and understand the position he's in and what's all at stake should he win at trial and be released. The hope is that he changes his life, but then what does that mean for the music? Gift and a curse. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth is being stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.